All right, folks, new to the map. This was Invest number 94. Now it is Potential Tropical Cyclone 9, and I'll explain the Potential Tropical Cyclone here in just a moment. And we're going to have to dig a little deeper into the system overall because I'm already getting questions on what's going on with that path fan. This thing looks, it's odd looking. So here is where we get to Tuesday. You saw where the line was there briefly, and to avoid confusion, it pops in the Wednesday line. And some of you may be thinking, wait, this was going to be making landfall late Monday night. Yeah, and this sets up what becomes more of the model confusion, and is why we also have that odd ending to the storm as we get to Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So why is it Potential Tropical Cyclone 9? Is because it's not yet a fully formed low pressure area. So it's still a 90% chance in the 2 and the 7 day window, but you see where the models here continue, and that's based on the GFS to push it into the inland areas. We've seen some swapping of the models here over the last couple of runs. Meanwhile, Humberto is a major hurricane and expected to continue to grow in size and strength here. So we're looking at Category 4, and some of the models bring it very close to what could be a Category 5 storm from Sunday leading into Sunday evening. Now, as far as the wind swath here, and this takes into account everything from our tropical storm to what will become our major winds in and around Humberto. So as I say that, here we are still talking tropical storm. This is into Monday's forecast. Still a lot of distance here between Humberto and what will become Imelda as it gets a name. But look at just before making landfall, where we see the wind here is what would be coded as a Category 1, and then spreading more of the tropical storm force wind as it moves inland, even as far back as Charlotte and potentially in and around areas of Savannah. Still a large gap in between. So these are not going to merge or mingle. One will make landfall here in toward the Carolinas. Now, I say landfall, there are some models that actually bring it near landfall. They stall it and then turn it back out into the deep water, and where it was the GFS that was almost making a direct run to go into the Carolinas and then start to dissipate, even the GFS is starting to do a little loop-to-loop, kind of like what we've been seeing all along with the Euro. Remember, the Euro was the one that nailed Aaron and also did a fantastic job on that other thing that we were watching at one point here. Became an invest and then basically evaporated overnight. So the Euro, that's where the money sits right now. Satellite shot, that is just so clear for a major hurricane. Look at that eye wall as it continues to develop. And meanwhile, it looks like our low pressure area here is starting to come together as we get just between Cuba and Hispaniola. And this thing has free air. Look at this. Nothing is in the way. And what the shear is, what shear will be there is going to be generally weak. And as this continues to lift to the north, notice that the shear is moving away. So there's really nothing to stop this low pressure area from becoming a tropical storm. And then as it exits the Bahamas here, potentially becoming that Category 1 hurricane. The intensity, as I was saying, there's some models that come up in just to the very top here of Category 4. That would be your 154 mile per hour, anything above that. And then we're talking Category 5. Still a strong storm and continuing through at least 72 hours before slowly starting to weaken. I mean, we're talking Category 1 and 2 as we're about 96 to 120 hours out. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you get the idea. It's going to take some time. Meanwhile, Potential Tropical Cyclone 9, where the models were holding it mostly as a tropical storm, they are starting to lift it now. And we've been saying all along that it looked like it was going to have the potential there for becoming a Category 1 hurricane. All right, I know that this looks messy, but let me go in. And this is based on the Euro, and the track line that we're seeing, this yellow, is considered the consensus. Even though this thing is spreading across the inland areas of Georgia into the Carolinas, North Carolina, it shows that moving offshore. Of recent, this is what the GFS has started to show, basically coming up here through Monday, getting here to Tuesday kind of stalling, which could mean a lot of tropical rain here through coastal Carolina before then following what will be in the wake of Humberto, the major hurricane, making the turn, creating a void where the low pressure area tries to fill in that gap and would be moving that way. And we're seeing that now with the Euro. So I'm excited to see, anticipating to see what will be the updated model runs here as we get to the 11 o'clock update. So watch this. Look at these as they're following that yellow line. So this is part, you got 1, 2, 3 of them that head back out. That's part of the Euro ensemble. And then as we look to the ones that curve into our inland areas, That was the GFS, but lately the GFS, and if you go to Tropical Tidbits or weathernerds.org or any of those that you peruse when it comes to the tropics, you'll see what I'm talking about, where the GFS now starts to stall. So I wonder if we'll see that. Now let's try it this way. I'll come back to the totals here in just a moment, but watch as the swath, and I'm going to stand over the numbers just for a moment. We'll come back to them, but here is where, still well offshore, where we'll have the heaviest of the rainfall moving through. Remember, this is just rain. It's not the wind forecast, but we're not seeing anything different here in all the way through our Tuesday forecast. If you notice, that was Thursday and Friday where we saw the numbers move up here for St. Mary's, Jax, and Mayport, but it shows what could be about 2 to 4 inches in the heavier rainfall potential there into areas of Darien, Brunswick, Darien, and then moving all the way up through Savannah. And it's the same idea when it comes to our winds here. So Saturday, pretty much a garden variety day. Sunday's forecast, the wind will be accelerating through the day, getting to some of the peak wind gusts that will take us into the 20. And I think we could see winds close to about 30 miles an hour. Same idea, Brunswick, Darien, and then moving northward closer to where the system will be making landfall. So this is still based, and this is on the GFS. And what we're showing, this is not updated to what has currently just come out with the latest of the model run, because it shows the GFS kind of stalling here and then pulling away from coastal Carolina and then heading back out into the deep water. So overall, what are the net effects? It looks like right now, based on the current track and timing, that we're going to see the wind picking up through the day on Sunday and the potential for the rain starting later in the day Sunday, overnight. Oh, come on back here. Overnight and into our Monday forecast as the waves will continue to build. Some of the models are actually 6 to 8 feet and then starting to drop down on Tuesday, and that's as the westerly wind picks up, and that's going to help to clean up some of the lines there for anybody that's heading out for some surf. And it looks like the best day could be Tuesday, maybe even a little left over there on Wednesday as that northwesterly flow is going to move by. I want to show you a couple of other things here before we go. I got to get to some of the other stuff that's part of our normal forecast here in Jacksonville, the scattered showers and storms that we're talking about. By the way, I showed you the GFS rainfall totals. This is the Euro, and notice how similar they are, and I'll just let this zip through. So Brunswick was showing what would be 2 to 4 inches, and here we get to Monday night, and it's showing just under 2 inches. Now, the question's coming in, are we going to see the effects from it? What we could see, because of the outer bands of a tropical storm or hurricane that would be forming, we're on the weaker side, but it's not out of the question with that northeasterly flow to see some training events setting in. So that's one storm after the next, anywhere from Brunswick southward. So you'll notice that really the 95 corridor up to and along the river would have that chance of what could be some temporary flooding. Our coastal flooded, or not our coastal flood advisories, it would be more like flood advisories. But added to that, as the onshore wind continues, then we have the potential for those coastal flood advisories as we move into, say, Tuesday, Wednesday of the upcoming work week. But you can see here where the flood risk is much greater through the Carolinas. This goes back to what could be that stalling storm, as well as the stronger side coming into the border for South Carolina and North Carolina, and part of that would be the surge. What kind of storms are we going to see? On Sunday, garden variety. Thunderstorms, we're not looking at the strong to even severe at this point. It's late summer, early fall here, so our temperatures as they come down, that's always a possibility, but not to the extent of what we're going to have. And this was kind of odd. As I looked at Monday, I expected to see stuff here across the Carolinas, but it was pretty quiet as far as at least that graphic is concerned. So as far as the model data, we're watching potential tropical cyclone number 9 with the high chance of becoming a tropical storm and then getting into what will become hurricane category 1. Meanwhile, we've got Humberto that's going to be out there spinning, developing, and becoming a major hurricane as we make our way in through Monday's forecast. And now, because both of those hitting the brakes, we could see this elongated period of some waves coming through, even see into Wednesday where it pops up to the 6-foot mark here. So we're still looking at the system potentially just lingering there before it will finally start to move inland. There's a lot of questions when it comes to the model data here, but overall for your Friday night, those graphics are just popping around all over the place. As far as the evening here, what we're going to see are things starting to settle down. Temperatures are going to come off of these near record highs that we've seen, and because of the clouds and that chance for some showers and storms into our forecast. Back here at home, we'll see those temperatures topping out around the mid to upper 80s, seasonal for our weekend, and we'll be watching closely on Sunday, Monday, and now the start of the work week with more model confusion there between the Euro and the GFS, ultimately to see where potential tropical cyclone 9, which will become Imelda, is going to end up. That's your weather Weather Authority tropical forecast for February 26, 2025. I'm meteorologist Richard Nunn. Thank you for joining us.